Salutations, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tinashe. This is Tinso's African Excursions, proudly sponsored by heartbreak.com. Now that company doesn't exist. Yeah, it's just based on previous past experiences. But anyway, just a brief intro about myself. I'm a chef. I'm a food and beverage consultant. I'm also an artist. Some of my beautiful work right here in the background, available for purchase if you feel inspired by any of my pieces. I'm also a wannabe farmer. Yes, we have a piece of land back home in Africa, in Zimbabwe, where I come from. So I'm planning on doing some farming. No experience actually, but something that I want to get into, because food is wealth, right? People are always going to be eating. I'm also a YouTuber. Yeah, I do a lot of things. I'm a creator basically. So this is my video on relocating back to Zimbabwe from New Zealand after spending 3 years abroad, away from the motherland. So yeah, so let's just get into it. So like I said, I'm a chef and I've been working in the industry for at least 10 years now, and I consider myself a nomad because basically I go into, in my career, I have worked in several different countries. And yeah, it's just been bouncing back and forth. I go back to Zimbabwe, leave again. And so now I feel like it's the time for me to move permanently back home to the motherland. Yeah, it hasn't been easy actually. Making decisions like this is not easy. And if anything, I'm actually more nervous than I've ever been, more than excited actually. I'm more nervous than I've ever been. So yeah, you know, like people always say, you know, the grass is green on the other side, but I believe the grass is greener where you water it, where you cultivate it. And my heart has always belonged to Africa. Every time I leave the country, and I always feel like I'm missing, a part of me is missing. And I've always failed to assimilate to the other cultures. As much as, you know, I enjoy everything else about other countries, like, you know, the way the systems are set up, but a part of me always feels like, you know, home is home. So right now I'm currently based in Auckland, New Zealand, and at the time of this recording, I'm probably left with 2 weeks, and I'll be flying off back to Zimbabwe. And yeah, I guess, you know, another thing is, you know, New Zealand is quite far from home. Yeah, I think 2-3 years ago, I lost my little brother, and I was actually not in the country at the time. And being far away from family when emergency situations arise, it's the worst thing that can happen to you. And the fact that you don't get to spend time with family because you're away, you're always going to have some regret, feeling of regret, you know, like I wish I'd spent more time home and all of those things. But yeah, so like I said, I'm a chef and I 100% believe in my skills, and I'm very good at what I do. And if one thing that I'm going to be doing when I get back home is trying to set up my own private chefing gigs, you know, consultancy gigs, cooking tutorials and stuff like that. So I know a lot of people that are actually successful back in Zimbabwe only because of their resilience and the will to want to make it, to be successful. And of course, being abroad has its advantages, and it's also got disadvantages as well. Like, you know, being with your people is it's something that brings you down to earth, because you know how strong you are. Africans, we are survivalists. We thrive in any environment that we're put in. I believe that, if Africa can only be built by us Africans, and by us running away from Africa, we're just, cogs in this economic machine of other countries that we are building. And the fact that there's a lot of brain drain back in Africa, because a lot of people are leaving and developing other countries, you could also channel that same energy into trying to build your own country. So anyway, Africa has potential for growth, like huge potential. We have the youngest growing population in all of Africa, and there's a lot of mouths to feed, and definitely a lot of potential in Africa. That's why you have a lot of people coming in, a lot of nationalities coming in to invest. It's just that as Africans, we can't see it when we're inside, but when you're outside the country, you definitely have a broader perspective on how things are going back home in your own country. And that's what I've realized now, that this is the time for us to actually start thinking about developing our own country. So, forget the negativity. That's what I told myself. Like, it's a leap of faith. If anything, that's what's driving me to get back home and to try to make it. Because, like I said, we have a piece of land back home, and agriculture is a very big sector that us Africans are actually blessed with, and we have the potential to grow our own space, to grow our own food. And if it's one thing, actually, this point, food in Africa is actually cheaper than here in the Western countries. And this is not even an exaggeration. Like, fruit and vegetables, fruits, very, very cheap. Especially in Zimbabwe, where I come from, you can get for $5. You can get a lot of fruits. Keep yourself healthy. All of that. But here, fruit and veggies are quite expensive. Food is expensive. So, some of the things that we take for granted, we only realize when we are outside that, okay, we actually have it good. It's just that obviously you do need some sources of income for you to be able to live a comfortable life. In Africa, it's through that hard work, through that grind, that you actually get to enjoy the lifestyle and the benefits, because you're amongst your own people. Like for me, I don't have much of a social life here, and it all goes back to what I was saying about being among your own people. Like, it's easier for you to connect when you're back home with your people. Sometimes you want to express yourself in your language, but here the communities are like tight knit. Like, if you don't know anyone, or even if you try to get into certain circles, even if it's African circles, you realize that it's all about competition, and this person is just trying to, it's almost as if we are trying to show off, or trying to show each other that, okay, yeah, we've made it this side. So I'm having more hours than you, I'm having more money than you, I'm driving a certain car, I'm living in a certain area. Like, discrimination wise. Like, I'll just give an example. Where I was working, I realized that certain people of certain color, when they came through, they would get trainings and they'll get more attention than, in terms of getting information pertaining to the job, than I got. So you realize that there are those brackets, like oh yeah, you can just work. Of course, you can work, but you're not treated with the same respect as other people from other, cultures and stuff like that. So it's all about energy at the end of the day. So um, yeah, that's what I can say. And you have got to appreciate where you come from, because this is where your roots are. No matter where you go, you are going to have the African blood coursing in your veins. And for me, I really want to travel across Africa, all the 54 countries. So far I've done maybe 6 of Africa, of the 54 countries. But I really, really love Africa and the diverse culture, traditions. Seeing how beautiful Africa is, the diverse cultures, the food. And, that's part of the reason why I feel like I want to do an expedition across Africa and showcase the diversity and the rich cultures we have. As a chef, it's important for us to celebrate our own. There's not a lot of positive news or positive stories that are told about Africa, and so we are the ambassadors of Africa. I know I have seen a lot of people, they talk a lot of smack. A few days ago, I was just walking back home, and just as I was crossing paths with some kids, one of them was like, Wakanda forever. I was like, nah, hey, I didn't say anything, but I heard it. I was like, nah, I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to respond to that. I need to settle in my country. I don't want to give up on Africa by just always being away from it. And so it will be very, very difficult for you to go back and reintegrate yourself into that society. So I didn't want to be away for any longer. So I decided, you know what? It's time to make the move. Because if not now, then when, the more you keep procrastinating these things, the more, time is moving and opportunities are closing by, doors are closing, and you need to set yourself up. That's how I feel, set yourself up, see how things go, stay strong. Important. It's very, very important that, we see the growth and development in our own countries, and we see the potential, we see the avenues that we can get into. Everyone has a skill, something that they're good at, Focus on your skills, focus on what you're good at. I feel like that's the only other way you can break through or break free. Do whatever you need to do for you to be successful. Yeah, the next video that I'm going to do is going to be of me traveling from Auckland to Zimbabwe, and it's going to be a trip from the airport and all of those things, like throughout the whole journey. I'll be showing you that as well, so stay tuned for that. You can also follow me on my Facebook page, Chikafu na Tinashe. That's where I upload my cooking vlogs, recipes. You can see some of my work there as well as a chef. And yeah, and this channel that you're watching me on, there are more videos on my adventures here, as well as more adventures that I'm going to have when I hit the motherland. I plan on documenting some stuff there. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to my little rant, and see you in Africa, or maybe by the time I've already reached Zimbabwe. So peace out, take care, and God bless.